The MG4 Urban is launching next month as Australia's newest budget EV with a free home charger thrown in. BYD is promising 1500 kilowatt flash charging on its next Seal at under 35k. The first NVES results are in. Victoria's big battery is stepping up to keep chargers running. Plus, school idling fumes are creating real health risks for kids. This is Plugged in Australia. G'day everyone, thanks for joining us again on Plugged in Australia, the podcast that keeps you up to speed on electric vehicles and things relevant to the electric vehicle industry here in Australia. I'm your host Jamie, and today we've got budget EV launches, ultra fast charging news, some first NVES results, grid support stories, health angles and policy updates that matter right here. Alright, let's get into it. MG is expanding its electric hatch range with the new MG4 EV Urban, set to arrive in Australian showrooms next month as the brand's most affordable full EV yet. Multiple outlets confirmed the April launch timing, positioning it directly against the growing sub-$40,000 segment currently led by the BYD Dolphin and GWM Aura. The Urban uses a smaller 43 kilowatt hour LFP battery with a single front motor producing 125 kilowatt and 250 newton meters of torque for an estimated WLTP range of about 350 kilometers. It's perfectly suited for daily commuting and suburban running where most Australian drivers average under 50 kilometers per day. Expect a drive-away price near $30,000 after on roads, undercutting many rivals while still offering MG's signature sharp styling 10.25-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and some level 2 autonomy aids. In a major sweetener reported by The Driven, MG is bundling a free home charger worth around $1,000 with every Urban purchased during the launch period. It's removing one of the last barriers for buyers without existing infrastructure. The Urban will be available in a single, well-equipped grade focused on value rather than luxury features. Now, for cost-of-living conscious buyers in outer suburbs and regional areas, this finally delivers a proper full EV hatch under 35k drive away that doesn't require waiting for any federal incentives. It also gives MG a stronger foothold in the small car space, while the larger S5 and ZS EV continue to handle family duties. Deliveries are expected to ramp up quickly once stock arrives in April. Federal Climate Change and Energy Minister Chris Bowen has firmly rejected speculation that the government is considering rolling back clean energy and EV policies amid rising fuel prices. In recent statements, Bowen described such talk as wrong and emphasised that the transition remains a priority for both emissions reduction and cost of living relief. The comments come as petrol prices climb due to Middle East tensions and as some commentators suggest the government might soften its stance ahead of the budget. Bowen's position aligns with the continued rollout of the new Vehicle Efficiency Standard and the electric car discount, both of which are delivering measurable results in EV uptake. For Australian drivers, this reassurance is welcome. Policy stability is essential for long-term planning, whether you're buying your first EV or you're installing home charging. The first new Vehicle Efficiency Standard compliance results for July to December 2025 have been released, with around two-thirds of brands meeting their CO2 targets in the opening period. The scheme is Australia's first fleet-wide efficiency regulation and is already pushing manufacturers to bring more efficient and electric models to market. Early data shows strong performance from brands with established EV lineups, while some traditional internal combustion-focused importers are paying penalties or banking credits for future years. The results align with the broader trend of EV sales, hitting record 11.8% market share in February. For Australian buyers, the NVES is already delivering more choice and better efficiency across the board. It also works alongside the electric car discount to accelerate the transition without sudden shocks to supply. Early compliance success suggests the scheme is working as intended, though some brands will need to accelerate their EV rollout to avoid larger penalties in future years. NIO has officially launched its quirky new Firefly hatchback in Thailand, a key right-hand drive market that often serves as a stepping stone for Australian launches. The compact EV is positioned as an affordable urban runabout with distinctive styling, advanced battery swapping capability, and competitive range. Thai pricing starts around the equivalent of $35,000 to $40,000 Australian, putting it in a similar territory to the MG4 and BYD Dolphin once it reaches Australia. NIO has already proposed a dedicated EV factory for the region, signalling serious long-term commitment. Local Thai reports and NIO's global expansion statements confirm the Firefly will use the company's latest battery swap technology, allowing owners to exchange packs in under 3 minutes at dedicated stations. For Aussies, the Firefly would give buyers another quirky, tech-packed option in the growing small EV segment, while bringing NIO's battery swap infrastructure one step closer. Now, no firm Australian timing has been announced. The Thai launch and factory plans make a 2027 arrival very realistic. It also highlights how Chinese brands continue to use right-hand drive test markets to refine products before bigger launches down under. The Volkswagen Group has reached a major global milestone, delivering 4 million full battery electric vehicles worldwide across its brands including Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, Cupra and Skoda. The figure was confirmed this week and includes strong growth in Europe and China despite recent headwinds in some markets. For Australia, the milestone is relevant because local Volkswagen Group brands, again, VW, Audi, Skoda and Cupra, are all expanding their EV lineups rapidly. The ID3 successor, likely going to be an electric Golf, and refreshed ID4 are expected soon, while Audi's Q6 e-tron and Cupra Born's facelift add further choice. The 4 million figure also demonstrates the scale of investment that is now flowing through to right-hand drive markets like us. While Australia's EV share still sits around 11 to 12%, the global momentum from manufacturers like Volkswagen Group helps bring down costs and improve technology for local buyers. It's another sign the transition is accelerating, even if our domestic policy setting sometimes lags. Victoria's second largest grid-scale battery is being positioned next to the state's biggest gas generator to help stabilise the network and support growing EV charging demand. The product highlights how large-scale storage is becoming essential infrastructure as more drivers switch to electric and put extra pressure on local grids during peak evenings. By co-locating with existing generation assets, the battery can provide rapid response services that keep lights on and chargers operational even when renewable output fluctuates. It's really another practical example of how the energy transition and EV adoption are moving hand in hand in Australia's largest states. Australia's home battery rebate scheme has smashed another monthly record, with over 1.2 gigawatt hours of new storage capacity subsidised in February alone. Households are clearly sizing up systems ahead of upcoming changes to the program, and many are pairing batteries with existing or new rooftop solar to create their own mini power stations. For EV owners, this is particularly relevant. A properly sized home battery can shift charging to off-peak solar hours and protect against rising electricity prices. The rebate surge shows Australians taking energy independence seriously as fuel prices climb and grid reliability becomes more important with higher EV adoption. Tesla is preparing to build the world's largest supercharger station in Yermo, California. Yes, I know, not in Australia, with plans calling for over 400 stalls once completed. The site will be developed in phases and will dwarf the current record holder. While the project is in the United States, it sets a benchmark for what future high-volume charging hubs could look like in Australia as EV numbers continue to grow. Local operators and governments are already watching these large-scale deployments closely, with Tesla's Australian network expanding rapidly. Similar mega sites could eventually appear on major highways to handle long-distance travel during peak holiday period. A new report analysing Australia's DC fast charging network has revealed significant differences in real-world performance and user experience across operators. Some networks consistently deliver close to advertised speeds, while others struggle with reliability and app glitches. The rankings are a useful guide for drivers planning longer trips, especially in regional areas where charger choice can be limited. The data also shows that good thermal management and grid connection quality make a noticeable difference in how quickly vehicles can charge on hot Australian days. For buyers choosing their first EV, these rankings are worth checking before deciding on a model that relies heavily on public fast charging. A bit of a real life example. About a month ago, I had to put some charge in at an amp charge station, specifically the one in Glenbrook, New South Wales, lower part of the Blue Mountains. I didn't plan my AC charging accordingly, and I was waiting to top up my battery on the cheap charging after 10 a.m. However, I had to unexpectedly jump in the car and go somewhere. So on the way back from where I had to go, I needed to just stop in. I wasn't going to make it. I needed to just get... That is something that I have to agree with from my personal experience, especially chargers like Ampol that are stating I charged at the one at Glenbrook in New South Wales a few weeks ago. I just needed a very small top up, and they say that charges 125 kilowatts to 150 kilowatt. I couldn't get above 80. So I understand the reason why. It's obviously reducing its charge rate because of what the service station is taking. There was nobody else charging, and it's only a 2-gun charger. So, but the problem is that you're going to go there during the day. You might go there when the servo's closed. That particular one doesn't stay open 24/7, and you might pull the full amount of power because the pumps aren't working and things like that. But that doesn't matter. Like, you're paying, that one is 75 cents per kilowatt hour, which is on the lower side, I would say, for DC charging. However, it's still a lot more. Like, I'm, middle of the day paying 7 cents a kilowatt hour to charge the EV. Some people could do it for free on the free scheme. So you're paying a premium for the convenience, as you should, but there's got to be a way to regulate this charging rate, because as more and more people get into EVs, it's just not going to be acceptable to say, right, it's a 125 kilowatt charger, I should get 10 to 80% in 20 minutes. Oh, no, jokes, it's going to be 40 minutes. It's not going to work. So just a little bit of personal experience there, just to say that it's not just stories and people aren't just making these things up. I will say, though, that I've only been to one charger where I couldn't get it to start charging, and that's because it was in between Sydney and the Gold Coast when we did our trip, and it was because of reception. I couldn't get reception. Once I grabbed my wife's phone and I could use her phone because she was on a different network. I'm Optus, she's Telstra, or the other way around. Anyway, one of us is on the other one, and we have that just for this sort of reason. Like, if we're ever somewhere and we don't have reception, one might have one might not. So I was able to get it charging from the app there. So it obviously, plug and charge will be a thing that will come in eventually, and so it'll be fine, but I needed to. That's the only issue I've had with reliability of charger. It's more the speed that seems to be the issue these days. So anyway, I digress. Let us continue. New research and on-the-ground reports are highlighting the health impact of parents leaving SUVs idling during school drop-off and pickup. Fumes from even short periods of idling can create concentrated pollution right at child height, with measurable effects on respiratory health. Switching to EVs or simply turning engines off removes this risk entirely and creates a cleaner, quieter environment around schools. Now, that's obviously going to be very difficult to switch the car off on a heatwave day. You need the car to be cool. So that's probably not a very feasible option in that regard. The story reinforces one of the clearest everyday benefits of electric vehicles for families. zero tailpipe emissions exactly where children are most exposed. Several schools have already introduced no idling policies, and the shift to EVs makes those policies far easier to enforce. And a story, just to extend on a story we mentioned yesterday, BYD has confirmed its next affordable Seal variant will support up to 1500 kilowatt flash charging, allowing 10 to 70% in as little as 5 minutes. Pricing is expected to sit comfortably under $35,000 once it reaches Australia, bringing ultra-fast charging technology into the mainstream price bracket for the first time. The combination of new blade battery chemistry and higher power infrastructure directly addresses one of the last remaining concerns for Australian buyers doing regular highway runs. Now, while local charging networks will take time to upgrade, the technology roadmap is now clear and BYD is leading the charge. And that's a wrap on this episode of Plugged In Australia. As always, if you've got any feedback or some stories you want us to dive a little bit deeper into, please let me know. info@pluggedinaustralia.com.au. Thanks again for listening, and until the next time, stay plugged in and stay charged. Ci vediamo.